The angels, this is the weekly love reading for the period of Sunday, April 4th, or Easter, or the Resurrection Sunday. And for those who recognize it, of course. And it goes through the 10th of April, which is Saturday to come. We're starting with the dice, and yes, cocktail and weekend away. Spirit says 29, spiritual partnership, romantic dinner, and try again, which came up in a literal sense in the general reading with the cards. Starting with the Page of Wands, I said the Page of Wands can often be about finishing something you started a long time ago, and it's going to have to do with either love and relationship or work and maybe travel. And sure enough, for the placement of love and relationship, also in that same reading, the Ace of Wands also showed up, in addition to other things that made me think, yes, this Page of Wands is definitely about love. And so we seem to be continuing on that trend that this week is about love, starting this reading, the love reading, with the Lovers, which most directly represents the planet Mercury in the sign of Gemini, which it rules. This can be about love and relationship, like really finding your match, like reciprocity and mutual adoration and respect, and like a real soulmate. The Lovers can also be about a decision that you have to make, like a heart versus head decision. And so it's a lot of emotion involved. Queen of Cups is a card that is very much about love and emotion as well, and nurturing and taking care of other people. So, like loving on other folks, needing to remember to do the same for ourselves. She is a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, or someone likened to those traits or attributes, possibly maybe actually a female, and or feminine energy. The World, about something coming full circle, something is coming to completion or has come to completion. World represents a fire energy for me, like a karmic fire energy, like the planet Jupiter or Mars. And there is a major transit this week, actually. Jupiter moves into Aquarius, out of Capricorn and into Aquarius on the 6th of April. Maybe that's what the Ace of Swords is about, the Aquarian energy. But it's also about victory, a new start, truth, like really keeping it real. So maybe being honest about feelings, emotions, love, and cause for celebration. There could be some sort of reuniting, like I said, try again with the dice, and then also what I was talking about with the Page of Wands, and then a cycle completing. This card came up in the general as well, and I said that whatever came up behind the Page of Wands actually, and I said whatever had been keeping you from completing this thing before is ending. It's coming to a close. So whether it's an obstacle or a distraction or whatever it was, that's done. And now there's the energy is ripe for whatever it is you were trying to do, for you to revisit it, right, in divine time. And so that's cause for celebration. That's a happy moment. Three of Cups can also be about other reasons for celebration, like anniversaries and marriage proposals, engagements, and babies, and all of that. And it can also be about us, taking some time to be social, or an encouragement that we do take some time to be social. Could be tied to the Queen of Cups. Like I said, the Queen of Cups often forgets to nurture herself. This can be saying, take some time for you too, and talk to your friends or hang out or whatever. Travel even. Move freely about the cabin. Major Arcana card 7, like the Ace of Swords, is a card of victory. The Chariot represents the sign of Cancer most directly. Very much as a card of victory, but also travel, movement, both literally and metaphorically. Queen of Pentacles, about changing one's environment or improving one's environment, like making your home and your surroundings as comfortable for you as possible, you and or your mate, whatever that means. Queen of Pentacles, possibly a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. And the Page of Pentacles also is back from the general. This too is a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn potentially, and or someone wanting to be generous with us, make some sort of offer. Take all these cards and just throw them in here somewhere, wherever. One more. This is the Lovers again. The Sun opposite the Moon. I think I'll cut on that note. That brings us to the Knight of Swords in reverse for our overall energy. Now pull one card for each element. Beginning with fire, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Your card this week is, it's your energy. The King of Wands, which most directly in the tarot represents the sign of Sagittarius, but is also a Leo or an Aries or someone likened to those traits or attributes. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Ten of Wands. Air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Your energy or our energy. Page of Swords. And last but not least, water, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. The King of Swords. So the Knight of Swords, our overall energy is the one I'm going to start with. And this is about, in love, like looking beyond the surface, like not being superficial. Somebody that really is trying too hard to impress you, maybe who you encounter, or maybe a mate is doing this, and whereas that can be a turnoff, particularly to an air sign, which is why it's showing up as the Knight of Swords. This week with this card, you're guided to cut them a little slack. They probably just really, really are interested in you, and they're trying to make a good impression, and it's coming out all wrong. It's having the reverse effect, but you're guided to give them a chance, and that sort of thing kind of came up in the general too, about like people keeping it real and really being themselves and putting themselves full, their best foot forward, but also not like the sort of the whole sort of like judge not yet lest ye be judged, like we all have our moments where we're the one that could be making an ass of ourselves. So, maybe give somebody else some slack, cut them a break, and not to have any like preconceived notions about a person. Like give somebody a chance. Also, if we are in an existing relationship, it could be that something is bothering our partner, separate and apart from what I just talked about, or separate and apart from us. Period. And if you sense something like that, you should ask. If you're in an existing relationship. So moving on to the fire signs and their card, the King of Wands. This is a really, positive and wonderful omen when it comes to love. It can mean that somebody that you're interested in, you care about, also has these sort of loving and not only loving, but like protective, like, it's the King of Wands. This is like a leader, a boss, protective feelings about you, like wants to take care of you, wants to provide for you. And they're really willing to like work hard and do the necessary work to make the relationship successful. Also, it's possible that you're more, maybe more so than usual, also focused on work or career, and so it guides you to make time for relationship, even if you're single. Maybe I should say, like, especially if you're single, because I know, like, a lot of times when we're single, we figure, like, I don't have a mate, I might as well dive into my work, right? And then sometimes because of that, we neglect relationships, not only romantic relationships and opportunities for them, but even friendships and stuff. And that may be one of the messages that the Queen of Cups, who was just here a moment ago, holds for us. Because remember, she shows up to remind us to also, like, take care of ourselves, not just other people. So we don't want to end up with work being the only thing in our life or the only successful thing in our life. And so this is about balance, and also that was a huge message in the general reading this week too, was balance, with the Two of Wands having been our overall energy there. Moving on to the earth signs, your card is the Ten of Wands, and Ten of Wands is really about what it looks like, right? This guy looks like he's just carrying a huge weight. Um, there's some sort of, he's burdened, or he feels burdensome upon somebody else, or there's something on his chest, right? He's carrying this huge weight in front of him. All those are possible, and in love, this card typically signifies, a really difficult place in a relationship. Um, it might be, again, that your mate is experiencing some sort of difficult time. As I mentioned, can be the case with the Knight of Swords. It has nothing to do with you. They need support. But it does tend to, and that's a possibility, but it does tend to indicate that there's something in the relationship that needs to be looked at or worked on. And it doesn't help you to pretend that you don't have problems. And this needs to be addressed when the card is showing up. And actually, in the general reading, our the card that most directly represented us was the Page of Pentacles. So your energy, and I talked about how in love, that card can be about, like, being, like, distracted in love, or having a wandering eye, or like disinterested in love, or your partner, your relationship. And so if you really are, that's one thing. And if you want to think about getting out of it, that may be why the Lovers is here for you, that heart versus head decision, like, what do I do? But if you don't think like you're going to feel like that next week, if it's just a temporary fleeting thing, then you're going to want to, of course, focus on your relationship and get yourself back on track with it. I say all that to say, again, it was the Page of Pentacles, so that was your energy. So it really could be, more so than any of the other signs or elements, that it is the earth signs. And again, I would say particularly Virgo, then Taurus, then Capricorn, that may be experiencing this sort of situation, where you might want out of the relationship, especially a Virgo. Um, but that, of course, that's going to be up to you. But these cards show up to tell you to take a look at the relationship. If you're single, um, this just might not be your week to meet somebody. It's possible. I mean, it could be, but if it's not, it's like, fret not. Don't despair. Your time will come too. Divine time, divine order. Um, it could really be a good time to do some self care and nurturing, and even reflection or introspection too. Moving on to us air signs: Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Page of Swords could mean simply, um, similar to the King of Wands for the fire signs, that a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius is particularly significant this week. It could be us, or we could be, having some air on air love. I was married to a Gemini for over 20 years. Another Gemini, obviously, not myself. Another June Gemini, no less. So it happens. We like to, we like air on air sometimes. It could be that. If it is just like the typical traditional meaning of the Page of Swords in as it relates to love, then it can mean that there may be some sort of mild conflict, and you have to, like that Kenny Rogers song, you have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Like you got to know whether it's okay to keep pushing and maybe joking around and being an asshole, um, like we may like to do from time to time, or to back off. Again, something may be going on with your partner, so this week may not be the right time to push them unnecessarily. And some stuff, when you say it, you can't take it back. um, the swords, the air signs, are supposed to know to always say what you mean what you say. When our cards show up, that's what they are guiding people to do. But we got to remember to do it also. Also, you may have to let your partner like have some space or something. Again, if they're going through something particularly, and if you sense that, ask them. And especially if they say yes, then don't take it personal, and make it about you. Just give them the space they need to deal with whatever it is they're dealing with, or the support they need from you in another way. If they want you around, then do that. If you're single, then it's a good time to get out and mingle. I'm supposed to go out with my girlfriends on Saturday on a boat. Yes, I love going on. I love being on a boat, so I'm looking forward to that. And got my air energy over there with the water signs. I'm going out with a Scorpio and a Sagittarius female. Anyway, yeah, love and relationship does tends not to just fall out of the sky. So you got to be out there, or to knock on your door, or to be found in your own home. So you have to like get out there and get it. And now moving on to that King of Swords. So similarly, like I told the air signs and like I told the fire signs, a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius may be particularly significant. This is a court card, so it's often an actual person. Um, and even when it's not a particular like person or air sign or whatever in your life, this tends to mean if you are interested in somebody or even have a relationship with somebody, then they are probably the type of person, and maybe particularly or specifically a man, that is like this kind of person you have to accept as they are. So again, these themes of being like true to who you are and all of that, and accepting other people for being the same way and not judging other people, all of that stuff, not being superficial. These themes keep coming up. The King of Swords is somebody who you have to accept, like he's like a take it or leave it kind of person. And if you cannot deal with him how he is, then you should just leave him alone. Because it's going to be a very difficult relationship if you can't do one or the other. And the best way to sort of like quell his or temper his energy is for you, whether you are female or male, even, for you to depend upon your inner feminine energies. To sort of, because he's like oozing, he's like uber, super masculine, like that man's man kind of energy, and very stuck in his ways and opinionated and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, if you're interested in that still, you're interested in him still, then the best way to soften him up a little bit will be with your feminine energy. You will balance him out. That's like the key to making it work with him. For those of you who are single, this may be the kind of guy that you meet this week. So be ready. Or I'm going to do another spread now, or maybe I'll clarify these. We'll decide in a moment what we're going to do. We're going to do something else. Let's actually do both, maybe. Let's see if I can do that. I have these Magdalene Oracle cards, beginning with Liberation, which, again, this card came up last week, and it's so Aquarius for me. This star in the center of her forehead, like above her third eye. Liberation is another word for like freedom. And the sign of Aquarius is all about freedom, breaking free. But the book meaning of the card is has a lot to do with like self love for one thing. I think most of the cards do, honestly, and sort of like that being the mechanism for freeing yourself. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. All the hurt and disappointment that other people put you through, and the way of bouncing back is how you become liberated. And loving yourself through it all is how you become liberated and thereby free. That's what the card is about in the book. The next one is War and Peace. It is in reverse, so we'll start with these. Maybe I can put these up to the higher. We know what they are anyway. The higher level, and use the lower one for these. So for the fire signs, we have color, and this card is about it guides you to take notice of like any colors that you're being particularly drawn to or that are standing out to you, and sort of gives you an assignment to figure out what that means. What is the message in that symbol, in that sign, in that synchronicity, or however this color is popping up in your life that is trying to be conveyed to you. So like I used the example previously that I really want and need to go get my nails done. It's been so difficult in New York, at least where I live, since the pandemic. But I've wanted to get them painted yellow for like a week now. And so I would be guided to figure out like what the yellow is trying to convey to me. Is it something maybe about solar plexus chakra that's represented by yellow? Is this something maybe about Archangel Uriel? Like I work with angels and stuff. He's represented by yellow. So it sends you on like a quest to find the deeper meaning of these colors that are standing out to you. Earth signs. Your card is sacred sexuality. And again, I think that may be tied to the fact that a lot of you, and again, as I said before, particularly Virgo is what I'm feeling, are being drawn to get out of some sort of relationship or even singlehood that's just like an existence, and to take a chance on yourself and this potential mate that I think some of you know who it is, because again, we're finishing what we started according to the page and Ace of Wands, and getting with this person with whom you have this kind of spiritual connection and bond, and could have this kind of level of intimacy. Air signs. Past lives. That could mean any number of things. Again, the Page of Swords can be about minor conflict. Could be minor conflict, something that's coming up from your past that's guiding you to behave a particular way, or from a past life. Or you may just have a situation that involves an air sign and a past life relationship, like the type we've been discussing, the spiritual relationships, soulmates, twin flames. And water signs. Your card is Saint versus Sinner. How perfect is that? Because I just described to you what the King of Swords was about, that he was like a particular person, but you have to take him how he is and not judge him or try to change him or whatever, or just leave him alone. And that's what this card is about. Like, we all have the potential to be both saints and sinners at any given time. And so it's about being your true self and allowing others to be the same without judgment. And I'm going to do the other spread now. So we did have time to do two, because that was pretty quick. So we'll do the one from the masculine perspective using these. See what happens. Freshly shuffled. How funny is this? The Lovers and the Judgment. So it could be a concern about being judged not only for who you are, but who your love interest and or mate is. You know, people will tell you, oh, like, sometimes people will frown upon our choice, and that will cause us not to choose a particular person because we're worried about that. We're worried about what people say, what people think. That leaves you in a place of limbo, or as maybe the scriptures will call it, purgatory, in between heaven and hell. And you got to decide whether or not to make this like heaven on earth for yourself, or to continue to live in a hell, or like just a feeling of being stuck in the middle somewhere. So I would do the spread, like I said, from the perspective of the masculine's higher self, beginning with the card that represents the feminine energy this week in love, and it is crucifixion. So it could be, again, particularly the feminine that is frowned upon, that, you know, maybe your friends, your family members, parents, children even, spiritual beliefs, like beliefs about traditional beliefs, like beliefs about marriage versus divorce, and age differences, as long as it's legal, and all that kind of stuff, racial differences, religious differences, whatever can cause people to judge and try to dictate other people's lives, and this, in this case, love lives. It seems like it's the feminine who is the object of the persecution, or the would-be object of the persecution, via the masculine. She's the one that feels like she's being crucified. Or even if she doesn't feel it, look at the sirens. Even if she doesn't feel it, I think she's aware of what's maybe going into the masculine's ear, or actually dictating his moves. And she's the, like I said, the subject of the persecution, of the crucifixion. But the masculine, as it relates to the feminine, his issue, his card is love. So it's a shame to allow yourself to be stuck here in the middle, because you're afraid to choose love. You're afraid of what this person represents and what people are going to think about you as a consequence. The masculine, as it relates to himself this week. Boom. These messages couldn't be any clearer. Liberation. Break free of that. Right? Of the inability to be yourself. And the lack of self-love. That would allow you to choose yourself and to choose your choice. What's in your heart and soul to do versus external forces. The masculine on the higher self with regard to the union or connection, in general. Co-creation. This can be taken two ways. Like the two together equal a one. We are a co-creation. Or that we're meant to co-create together. In both cases, that describes a sacred union, a soulmate relationship, a twin flame relationship. Overall, divine order. Everything ultimately is going to happen as it should anyway, but with our choices, with our free will, with our failure to act, we do cause ourselves delays and things. So it's like it can happen now, or you ever see like those special interest stories where people are like 80 years old and they're finally they used to date in high school and they're just now getting back together. That could be the divine order. Like ultimately you're meant to be together, but like when it happens is in part up to you if you keep fighting it. Or like the Notebook, right? They were destined. That's the divine order part. But the choices to ignore the letters or everything else that happened is free will. You got to liberate yourself from that. What kind of energy the masculine would have the feminine give to the union or connection this week if it were up to him? Eternal embrace. What he himself is giving this week? Mythic reality. Trying to bring what's only been in his mind, in his dreams, in his heart, in his soul to existence in this plane, in the 3D. So there's a desire at least to liberate himself. What the universe would have each or both archetypes to do, or kind of energy to give to the union or connection this week, and what it wants to help us with. Sacred sexuality. Those sort of intimate, really deeply intimate and spiritual connections. And the outcome, let's see what happens by the end of the week. Sophia. Sophia is a mother energy, kind of empress-like. Let me read this one to see what exactly it's trying to give us as an outcome. Someone dear to you needs your love and support at this moment. Perhaps even your forgiveness. Put aside any recent disagreements. Let it all go and make up. Deep down, you both know that you love each other. Life is too short to waste. Adopt a loving attitude for love will heal all of things. Or adopt a loving attitude. They forgot to put a period. It means for love, comma, will heal all things. They left the they left the grammar out. The punctuation rather. Honor and respect each other's differences. Individuality is sacred. Right. Be an individual and be true to yourself. You are both beautiful souls. Through love and forgiveness, a world of infinite possibility and contentment awaits you. But you have to have the balls and the strength, right? The confidence to liberate yourself. And that goes either way. I mean, it's in the placement of the masculine, but that would go for both ultimately when it comes down to it, in order to seek forgiveness and in order to extend forgiveness to the other party. Do some advice from these cards too, but first let's also do these. I want one from each deck, so I gotta find a card from the other deck now. Masculine's getting 2. Oh, the feminine is 2. Okay, it's fair and even. That was totally an accident. On my part, at least. Right, obviously it was meant for each to get 2. And the overall energy on these is the 7 of Swords. Plans that need revision. More going on than meets the eye and poor timing. So as you guys know, those of you who are familiar with the way that I read my cards, the 7 of Swords is a card of thievery, theft, loss. And I say that it represents the energy of joy stealing. And that we have the potential to steal our own joy. Like sometimes we're the thief. And we're stealing our own joy by lack of confidence and lack of esteem and lack of, being too afraid to take a risk. Again, a chance on ourselves, on our love interest or mate or whatever. Because of fear. Fear, anxiety, worry. What will other people think? Despite that, we have the ability to create our own destiny and to draw near to us what we want, the reality that we want through the energy of the magician. You are ready, you have the resources or the ability to manifest them, and life is magical. That will allow us to move forward, or maybe literally move on with our lives or with a mate. The Chariot is a card of victory, achievement, travel, movement, an important achievement, self-discipline and willpower, public recognition. People are taking note. We're able to move now forward, maybe with someone from our past, or perhaps despite our past and any hurts or disappointments that we've experienced. We can move beyond that now. That 7 of Swords no longer represents those things and isn't holding us back anymore. Or this could be, actually, this is a soulmate card, or like often it's about exes and then things returning. So it could be moving on with, somebody from our past. That could be what we're finishing something we started a long time ago, maybe with somebody we dated before. Memories from your history of childhood. Issues regarding children and romanticizing the past. And the next card is the 6 of Swords. We started out with the energy of Swords with the 7 and then the 9. 6 of Swords is a card, whether in reverse or upright, of, movement forward. It's never about going backward. So, with that said, I'll do these last, just in case we elect to read something again. So, I guess I was meant to do these first also because we're going back to that theme of swords. I always say, like, where you see the 7, usually like the 5, the 3, the 9, they're not far behind. They're where you see one, you tend to see the others. Your current path isn't leading you toward the happiest possible outcome. Look how this is for the masculine. Again, it's him, I think, most this week at least, that needs to liberate himself and do what he actually wants to do, rather than going down a path that's not leading him to the happiest possible outcome. It's an outcome, but if he's not happy, and again, life is too short to waste, as the other card said. So why not change it? Why not change that bad path, that poor path? Always maintain integrity and compassion, but be alert to the hidden agendas of others. What others? Those others, again, that are doing the crucifying, that are doing the persecuting, that are telling you that your choice is poor, or it's wrong, or whatever the case is. I don't know why I turned that upside down. This is your advice for the feminine. Major Arcana card 17, the Star, again, represents the sign of Aquarius. You are about to take a big leap forward with your life. Worry, like the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords and the Nine of Swords, will be replaced with optimism, fear with hope, and joy is coming home to roost. What I talk about, joy stealing with the Seven of Swords. This is joy coming home. Star is also a card of communication. Isn't this something? You saw me pick up two cards, like accidentally, for the masculine. They both happen to be these swords, continuing on, that trend that we had been experiencing. It's the end of a career path, project, or relationship. And that brings feelings of, well, even if it's not the end now, the end in general of these things brings feelings of mixed joy and sadness, relief and disappointment. You can be happy that, a job where, well, this is the love reading, a relationship that was toxic. You can be happy that it's over and still be sad that, a relationship ended. You can have those mixed feelings. That's like another purgatory, maybe, like you're just in the middle. Put aside your fears about the changes, whatever the consequences of whatever happened with you are, and trust that a brighter future awaits. Okay, that was the end of the cycle. Feminine. Very nice. The Four of Wands. It's time to kick back, relax, and to celebrate all that you have. Joy arises from success in your career, the completion of a project, or very happy home life. So there's the joy again. It said joy was coming home. And then we have the Four of Wands, which is totally a card about home and household and family and commitment. The masculine, the Queen of Pentacles is back. Let me see her earlier. Thoughtful, creative, warm, and sensible. Make time for those around you. Take a sensible approach and deal with challenges in a kind and understanding manner. The Queen of Pentacles is possibly a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. This could also be representative of, like I said, I feel like it's mostly masculine and male, and mostly earth sign, particularly Virgo. Boom. Earth sign. Deal with challenges in a kind and understanding manner. The Queen of Pentacles is about like improving your environment, your surroundings for yourself, making yourself feel more at home, making yourself feel more cozy, more comfortable in your own skin or your own surroundings. Feminine, 10 of Pentacles, a very happy home life. Financial security and finding magic in the little things in life. Masculine, you have a decision to make. And as I mentioned before with the Lovers, it may be a heart versus head decision. Your mind or logic or other people, something is dictating one thing, and your heart, your soul is pulling you in another direction. And you got to make a choice. And feminine, Magdalene. So this Mary Magdalene card is another one of self-love. You know what? I'll read this one too. Go forth and be true to yourself. Dare to be different, to make mistakes. Create, for it is in creation that you exist. In a world full of dreams that stem from your heart, in oneness, love, and hatred. Wonder and awe, softness and pain, joy and light. In the stillness, the unknown awaits, a void wanting to be filled. Step into it with courage and strength, like a building rose reaching for the light. Love will lead you to greener pastures. I talked about Psalm 23 the other day too. He maketh me to lay down in green pastures and lead me to still waters. My cup runneth over. Keep your pockets full of dreams. That sounds like running over. For life is a test of faith. Allow your light to shine. There is no beginning or end there is only love. Hope you guys have enjoyed this week's love reading. I might be back. I'm doing the client readings. I haven't published any in a long time. I may do that. In any case, please do subscribe by hitting both the subscribe button and the bell button. Like, share, comment. I try to respond to every comment that I receive, and I do appreciate you watching. Namaste.